20 black bands with tragic endings you never heard of. What if some of the greatest black music groups in history didn't end with farewell tours or happy retirements, but with tragedy, heartbreak, and devastating loss? Behind the gold records, sold-out concerts, and timeless classics were stories of plane crashes, sudden deaths, broken dreams, and careers cut tragically short. From the Bar-Kays and the OJs to the Drifters and the Isley Brothers, these legendary groups faced challenges that forever changed their destinies. Some survived against all odds, while others never fully recovered. Today, Remembered Lives channel uncovers the shocking and emotional endings behind these iconic bands. Which group's story affected you the most? Watch until the end and share your thoughts in the comments below. The OJs. The story of the OJs is not just a tale of success, it is also a story of heartbreak, perseverance, and survival. Formed in Canton, Ohio during the late 1950s, the group spent years chasing recognition before finally becoming one of the defining voices of soul music. Their breakthrough arrived in the early 1970s through a partnership with legendary producers Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. Suddenly, songs like Love Train, Backstabbers, For the Love of Money, and Used to Be My Girl turned the OJs into international stars. To millions of fans, the OJs represented elegance, harmony, and timeless soul. But behind the platinum records and sold-out performances, tragedy slowly found its way into the group's history. One of the most devastating blows came through William Powell, a beloved member whose smooth vocals helped shape the group's signature sound. In 1975, Powell was diagnosed with cancer while still in the prime of his career. Despite undergoing treatment, his health continued to deteriorate. Fans watched helplessly as one of the group's brightest talents fought a battle he could not win. On May 26, 1977, William Powell died at only 35 years old. For a group that had spent years building toward success, the loss was heartbreaking. His death left an emotional scar that never fully healed. The remaining members were forced to continue performing while carrying the grief of losing a brother. Yet tragedy did not destroy the OJs. Instead, it strengthened their determination to honor Powell's memory. The group continued recording and touring, preserving the legacy they had built together. Decades later, their music remains a cornerstone of classic soul. Today, the OJs are remembered not only for their extraordinary catalog, but also for their resilience. Their story reminds us that behind every legendary group are real people facing life's harshest challenges. Through loss, heartbreak, and change, they found a way to keep the music alive, ensuring that William Powell's voice and spirit would never be forgotten. The Bar-Kays. Few stories in music history are as tragic and shocking as that of the Bar-Kays. Founded in Memphis, Tennessee in the mid-1960s, the young band quickly gained a reputation for their explosive blend of soul, funk, and rhythm and blues. Their future looked incredibly bright. As the house band for Stax Records, they earned the opportunity that every aspiring musician dreamed about, touring with Otis Redding, one of the biggest stars in America. Everything changed on December 10, 1967. On that cold winter day, Otis Redding and members of the Bar-Kays boarded a small plane bound for a concert in Wisconsin. The aircraft crashed into the icy waters of Lake Monona near Madison. The accident killed Otis Redding and 4 members of the Bar-Kays: Jimmy King, Carl Cunningham, Phelan Jones, and Ronnie Caldwell. Only trumpeter Ben Cauley survived. Bassist James Alexander escaped death solely because he had traveled separately after missing the flight. In a matter of seconds, one of the most promising young bands in America was nearly wiped out. The surviving members faced unimaginable grief. Friends, bandmates, and dreams disappeared beneath the freezing water. Many believed the Bar-Kays would never recover. Remarkably, the group chose to continue. Rebuilding from tragedy, they recruited new musicians and slowly returned to the stage. During the 1970s and 1980s, they reinvented themselves as funk pioneers, releasing hits such as Shake Your Rump to the Funk Too Hot to Stop and Freak Show on the dance floor. Their comeback became one of the most inspiring stories in music history. Yet the shadow of that plane crash never completely disappeared. Every success carried memories of the friends who never returned home. The Bar-Kays' legacy is therefore more than a story about hit records. It is a testament to resilience, brotherhood, and the extraordinary courage required to move forward after experiencing unimaginable loss. More than half a century later, their story remains one of the most heartbreaking chapters ever written in American music. The Chi-Lites. The story of the Chi-Lites is one of remarkable success followed by years of hardship, loss, and heartbreak. Formed in Chicago during the late 1950s, the group became one of the most beloved soul acts of the 1970s. Their smooth harmonies and emotionally powerful lyrics produced timeless classics such as "Oh Girl Have You Seen Her," "Homely Girl," and "Give More Power to the People." Under the leadership of songwriter and lead vocalist Eugene Record, the Chi-Lites achieved international fame and became a defining voice of the soul music era. To fans, their future seemed secure. Their records sold millions of copies, their concerts attracted large crowds, and their music became a permanent part of American culture. However, behind the success were struggles that gradually pulled the group apart. Changes in musical trends, financial difficulties, and internal disagreements began affecting the band's stability. As disco and later hip-hop gained popularity, many classic soul groups found it difficult to maintain the same level of commercial success. The deepest tragedy came with the loss of key members. Eugene Record, the creative force behind many of their greatest hits, battled cancer before passing away in 2005 at age 64. His death represented the end of an era for the Chi-Lites. Other longtime members also faced health issues and personal difficulties, leaving fans to watch the gradual fading of a group that once stood at the top of the music world. Yet despite the hardships, the music endured. Songs recorded decades ago continue to be played on radio stations and streamed by younger generations, discovering classic soul for the first time. The Chi-Lites' story is not simply about decline or tragedy. It is about how great music can outlive the struggles of those who created it. Their legacy remains a powerful reminder that even when careers fade and lives end, unforgettable songs can keep memories alive forever. The Drifters. Few vocal groups experienced as much success and as much turmoil as the Drifters. Founded in the early 1950s, the group became one of the most influential acts in rhythm and blues history. Their catalog included legendary songs such as "Under the Boardwalk," "Save the Last Dance for Me," "Up on the Roof," and "There Goes My Baby." These recordings helped shape the sound of popular music and influenced generations of performers. However, behind the polished harmonies was a history filled with instability and tragedy. Unlike many groups that maintained consistent membership, the Drifters became notorious for constant personnel changes. Over the decades, dozens of singers passed through the lineup, creating disputes over ownership, identity, and royalties. The group's success often contrasted sharply with the financial and personal struggles experienced by individual members. One of the most heartbreaking moments involved Rudy Lewis, one of the group's most talented lead singers. On the night before the Drifters were scheduled to record "Under the Boardwalk" in 1964, Lewis was found dead at only 27 years old. His sudden death shocked the music community and forced fellow member Johnny Moore to record the lead vocals that would eventually become one of the group's biggest hits. As the years passed, legal battles, management conflicts, and additional member deaths continued to haunt the group's legacy. While audiences remembered the music, many of the men behind those records faced difficult personal circumstances far removed from the glamour of stardom. Despite the turmoil, the Drifters survived. Their songs remain among the most recognizable recordings ever produced, yet their story serves as a reminder that success does not always guarantee stability. Behind the timeless harmonies stood a group repeatedly tested by loss, uncertainty, and circumstances beyond their control. The Main Ingredient. The Main Ingredient appeared destined for greatness from the moment their rich harmonies began reaching audiences during the late 1960s. Blending soul, pop, and R&B influences, the group quickly established itself as one of the era's most polished vocal acts. Their biggest successes included "Everybody Plays the Fool," "Just Don't Want to Be Lonely," and several other memorable hits that earned them a devoted fan base. But behind the smooth vocals and growing popularity lay one of the most tragic stories in soul music. The group's original lead singer, Donald McPherson, possessed a powerful voice that helped define their early identity. As the band's reputation expanded, McPherson seemed positioned for a long and successful career. Tragically, that future was cut short. In 1971, Donald McPherson died from leukemia at only 41 years old. His death devastated the group. Losing a lead singer is difficult for any band, but losing one during a period of growing success was especially painful. Many believed the Main Ingredient would not survive the tragedy. Determined to continue, the remaining members recruited Cuba Gooding Sr. as their new lead vocalist. His arrival brought renewed energy and helped guide the group toward its greatest commercial achievements. Under Gooding's leadership, the main ingredient recorded some of its most successful songs and reached a wider audience than ever before. Yet tragedy would eventually return. Decades later, Cuba Gooding Sr. himself passed away unexpectedly in 2017 at age 72. His death marked another painful chapter in the group's long history. Despite these losses, the main ingredient's music continues to resonate with listeners. Their story is one of resilience in the face of grief, proving that while talented individuals may be gone, the songs they leave behind can continue inspiring generations long after the final curtain falls. The Delfonics. The Delfonics were one of the most influential vocal groups to emerge from the golden age of Philadelphia soul. Formed in the mid-1960s by brothers William Hart and Wilbert Hart, along with Randy Kane, the group developed a distinctive sound built on soaring falsettos, lush harmonies, and deeply emotional love songs. Their breakthrough came with classics such as La La Means I Love You, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time, and Ready or Not, Here I Come. These songs transformed the Delfonics into international stars and helped define the romantic soul sound of an entire generation. To fans, the Delfonics represented elegance and musical perfection. Their records became staples of radio stations and slow dances across America. Yet behind the scenes, success brought challenges that gradually weakened the group. Internal disagreements, changing musical trends, and business pressures created tensions among members. Like many soul groups of the era, they struggled to adapt as disco, funk, and later hip-hop began dominating the charts. The group's decline was not marked by a single shocking event, but by a slow and painful fading from the spotlight. Original members departed, reunions came and went, and the lineup changed repeatedly. Perhaps the most emotional losses came decades later as the founding members passed away. Randy Kane died in 2009, followed by William Hart in 2022. With each passing, another piece of the group's legacy disappeared. Yet unlike many forgotten acts, the Delfonics found a second life through popular culture. Their music was embraced by new generations after appearing in films and being sampled by hip-hop artists. Today, their songs remain among the most beloved recordings of the soul era. The tragedy of the Delfonics is not simply that they faded from commercial prominence. It is that a group capable of creating such timeless beauty spent decades battling the harsh realities of the music business. Still, their harmonies continue to live on, proving that great music can outlast every hardship. The Temprees. The Temprees may not be as widely recognized as some of their contemporaries, but among soul music enthusiasts, they remain a treasured part of the genre's history. Formed in Memphis, Tennessee during the late 1960s, the trio built a loyal following through their smooth harmonies and heartfelt ballads. Songs such as Dedicated to the One I Love, Loves Maze, and Explain It to Her Mama showcased a sound that blended Southern soul with romantic storytelling. Despite their talent, the Temprees never achieved the mainstream success enjoyed by larger acts of the era. Nevertheless, they became highly respected within soul music circles and earned a devoted audience. Their future seemed promising, but like many groups operating outside the industry's spotlight, they faced constant challenges. Limited promotional support, changing musical tastes, and financial struggles made it increasingly difficult to sustain momentum. As the years passed, the group's opportunities diminished. Members pursued different paths while attempting to preserve the legacy they had built together. The tragedy of the Temprees lies not in a single catastrophic event, but in the reality that extraordinary talent does not always guarantee lasting commercial success. Many fans believe they deserved far greater recognition than they ever received. One of the most significant losses came with the passing of founding member Jasper Phillips. His contributions helped shape the group's identity and preserve its place within soul music history. For longtime fans, his death marked the end of a chapter that had begun decades earlier in Memphis. Today, the Temprees are remembered as one of soul music's hidden treasures. Their story serves as a reminder that some of the industry's most gifted performers never receive the acclaim they truly deserve. While mainstream audiences may have overlooked them, their music continues to resonate with listeners who appreciate the emotional depth and sincerity that defined their sound. The Isley Brothers. The Isley Brothers are one of the most successful and enduring family groups in music history, but their remarkable journey has also been marked by profound loss and tragedy. Founded by brothers O'Kelly Rudolph and Ronald Isley, During the 1950s, the group evolved across multiple decades and musical style. From early hits like Shoutin', Twist and Shout, to later classics such as For the Love of You, Between the Sheets, and Voyage to Atlantis, they consistently reinvented themselves while remaining relevant to new generations of listeners. Their success story is extraordinary. Few groups managed to thrive across the eras of doo-wop, soul, funk, disco, and contemporary R&B. Yet behind the achievements stood a family repeatedly tested by hardship. One of the earliest tragedies came in 1986, when founding member O'Kelly Isley Jr. suffered a fatal heart attack at just 48 years old. His death shocked both fans and family members, removing a key figure from the group's foundation. Years later, another devastating loss occurred when younger brother Marvin Isley, whose bass playing helped define the group's funk era, faced severe health complications related to diabetes. After years of illness, he passed away in 2010 at age 56. His death represented another painful chapter for a family that had already endured significant heartbreak. Beyond personal losses, the group also faced legal battles, financial difficulties, and the pressures that come with maintaining a family business over several generations. Despite these obstacles, Ronald and Rudolph Isley continued carrying the legacy forward. The Isley Brothers' story is ultimately one of resilience. While tragedy repeatedly threatened to derail their journey, they refused to let grief define them. Instead, they transformed hardship into endurance, creating a catalog of music that remains beloved around the world. Their legacy stands as proof that even in the face of loss, family, faith, and music can endure. The Spinners. The Spinners were one of the smoothest and most successful vocal groups of the soul music era, creating a sound that became synonymous with romance, elegance, and timeless harmony. Formed in Detroit in the 1950s, the group spent years working toward recognition before finally achieving major success during the 1970s. With the help of legendary producer Tom Bell, the Spinners released a remarkable string of hits, including I'll Be Around, Could It Be, I'm Falling in Love, One of a Kind, Love Affair, and the Rubber Band Man. Their polished performances and rich harmonies made them one of the most respected groups of their generation. To fans, the Spinners seemed unstoppable. Their records climbed the charts, concert halls filled with devoted audiences, and their music became a defining soundtrack of the decade. However, behind the success were personal struggles that gradually took a toll on the group. One of the most significant figures in their history was Philippe Wynne, whose charismatic stage presence and distinctive voice helped elevate the band to new heights. When Wynne left the group in 1977 to pursue a solo career, many fans felt that the Spinners had lost a vital part of their identity. Although the group continued achieving success, his departure marked the beginning of a new chapter. Tragically, Philippe Wynne died suddenly in 1984, at just 43 years old after collapsing during a performance. His death shocked the music community and left many wondering what more he might have accomplished. Over the years, additional members passed away, and changing musical trends reduced the group's commercial prominence. Yet the Spinners never disappeared. Their songs continued to receive radio airplay and remained beloved by fans worldwide. The tragedy of the Spinners is not merely about loss. It is about watching a group that once dominated the charts slowly say goodbye to the voices that made it special. Nevertheless, their music continues to endure, preserving the spirit of an era when harmony, talent, and soul ruled the airwaves. 5 Stairsteps. Often referred to as the first family of soul, 5 Stairsteps built a remarkable career that blended family unity with musical excellence. Formed by the Burke siblings in Chicago during the 1960s, the group stood out because nearly every member was related. Their youthful energy and natural chemistry quickly attracted attention, leading to a series of successful recordings that established them as rising stars. Their greatest achievement came in 1970 with OOH Child, a song that remains one of the most uplifting and recognizable recordings in soul music history. The track became an anthem of hope during a turbulent period in American society. Even decades later, its message of perseverance continues, inspiring listeners around the world. Yet despite their success, the group's story carried a deep sense of sadness. Like many family acts, maintaining unity proved increasingly difficult as members grew older and pursued different goals. Industry pressures, financial challenges, and changing musical tastes gradually weakened the group's momentum. By the mid-1970s, 5 Stairsteps had largely faded from the spotlight. The most heartbreaking chapter came years later with the death of Clarence Burke Jr., one of the group's key members. In 2013, he died unexpectedly at age 64. For longtime fans, his passing symbolized the loss of an important piece of soul music history. His contributions had helped shape a group that brought hope and positivity to millions. Unlike some bands destroyed by scandal or conflict, Stairsteps experienced a quieter tragedy. Their story is about unrealized potential and the gradual fading of a gifted family ensemble, whose influence was greater than many people realize. Although their commercial peak was brief, their music continues touching new generations. Today, OOH Child remains their enduring legacy. It serves as a reminder that even when careers end and loved ones pass away, a powerful song can continue offering comfort long after the performers themselves are gone. The Manhattans. The Manhattans built their reputation on sophisticated emotional storytelling and some of the most beautiful ballads ever recorded. Formed in New Jersey during the 1960s, the group gradually rose through the ranks of soul music before achieving major success in the 1970s. Their signature hit Kiss and Say Goodbye became one of the best-selling singles of its era and helped establish them as international stars. Other songs such as Shining Star and It Feels So Good to Be Loved So Bad further cemented their place among soul music's elite. For years, the Manhattans represented stability and professionalism. Their smooth harmonies and polished performances earned respect throughout the industry. Yet beneath that success, tragedy slowly emerged. One of the most devastating moments occurred when founding member George Smith became seriously ill. In 1970, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor and was forced to leave the group he helped create. Despite undergoing surgery, Smith's condition worsened. He died in 1970 at only 30 years old, long before the Manhattans reached the peak of their commercial success. For the remaining members, his loss was heartbreaking. They were forced to continue pursuing their dreams while carrying the grief of losing a close friend and musical brother. Years later, additional losses followed. Longtime member and co-founder Blue Lovett passed away in 2014 at age 84 after decades of dedication to the group. His death marked the end of an era for fans who had followed the Manhattans throughout their journey. What makes the Manhattans' story so emotional is the contrast between the warmth of their music and the hardships they endured behind the scene. Their songs spoke of love, devotion, and hope, while their real lives were often shaped by illness, loss, and perseverance. Today, the Manhattans remain one of soul music's most cherished groups. Their legacy endures through timeless recordings that continue reminding listeners of both the beauty and fragility of life. The Soul Stirrers. The Soul Stirrers occupy a unique place in American music history. Long before gospel influenced mainstream soul and R&B, this legendary group helped define what modern gospel singing could sound like. Formed in Texas during the 1920s, the Soul Stirrers became pioneers of a more emotional and expressive style that would eventually inspire generations of artists. Their influence reached far beyond church walls, shaping the sound of soul music itself. The group's most famous member was undoubtedly Sam Cooke. When Cooke joined in the early 1950s, his smooth voice and charismatic presence helped attract a younger audience to gospel music. Recordings such as Jesus Gave Me Water and Touch the Hem of His Garment became classics. However, Cooke's decision to leave gospel for secular music created controversy among religious audiences who felt betrayed by one of their brightest stars. As the years passed, tragedy repeatedly touched the group. The sudden death of Sam Cooke in 1964 at only 33 years old shocked the world and permanently altered the legacy of everyone connected to him. Other influential members also passed away over time, leaving behind a group that constantly had to rebuild itself while preserving its identity. Despite these losses, the Soul Stirrers survived. Their music influenced artists ranging from Aretha Franklin to Al Green and countless others. Yet their story remains bittersweet. Many of the voices that built the group's reputation are gone, but their impact continues to echo through American music. The Soul Stirrers remind us that greatness often comes with sacrifice, and that some of the most influential groups in history must endure tremendous loss to keep their legacy alive. The Moments. The Moments were one of the most successful soul groups of the late 1960s and 1970s, known for romantic ballads that resonated deeply with audiences. Formed in Washington, D.C., the group eventually found success after several lineup changes and years of uncertainty. Their breakthrough came with hits such as Love, On a Two-Way Street, Look at Me, I'm in Love and Girls. Their smooth harmonies and emotional storytelling made them favorites among soul music fans across America. For a time, it seemed as though the Moments had found lasting success. However, behind the scenes, business conflicts and industry politics created growing tension. The group's relationship with management deteriorated, leading to disputes over contracts, royalties, and even ownership of the group's name. These battles gradually overshadowed the music itself. One of the most tragic developments came after the group transformed into Ray Goodman and Brown following legal disputes. Although the trio continued recording successful music, tragedy struck when member Harry Ray suffered a fatal heart attack in 1992 at only 45 years old. His sudden death devastated fans and fellow musicians alike. Ray's voice had been a central part of the group's identity for years. The loss represented more than the death of a talented singer. It marked the end of a remarkable musical journey that had survived industry obstacles, changing trends, and countless challenges. Today, the Moments are remembered not only for their beautiful songs, but also for a story filled with perseverance and heartbreak. Their legacy proves that even when business conflicts threaten to destroy a group, great music can continue living long after the final performance. The Marvelettes. The Marvelettes hold a special place in Motown history as the first girl group to achieve major success for the label. Formed in Inkster, Michigan during the early 1960s, the young singers quickly captured national attention with Please Mr. Postman. The song became Motown's first #1 pop hit and helped launch what would become one of the most successful record companies in history. Following that breakthrough, the Marvelettes continued producing memorable songs including Beechwood 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, Don't Mess with Bill, and Too Many Fish in the Sea. Their success opened doors for future female acts, such as the Supremes and Martha and the Vandellas. Yet despite their achievements, life after stardom proved difficult for many members. As musical tastes evolved and the newer acts emerged, the Marvelettes gradually lost commercial momentum. Internal pressures, constant touring, and changing industry priorities contributed to the group's decline. By the early 1970s, the original era of the Marvelettes had effectively come to an end. The saddest chapters came later. Lead singer Gladys Horton struggled with health problems before passing away in 2011 at age 66. Wanda Young, another key member of the group, died in 2006 at age 61 after facing numerous personal and health challenges. For fans who grew up listening to their music, these losses were painful reminders of how quickly time passes. The Marvelettes' story is both inspiring and heartbreaking. They helped break barriers for Black female performers while experiencing many of the challenges that often accompany fame. Their music remains a lasting testament to a group that helped build Motown's foundation, even as personal hardships gradually overshadowed their later years. The Whispers. The Whispers are often celebrated as one of the most enduring vocal groups in R&B history, a rare act that managed to remain relevant across multiple decades while maintaining their signature sound. Formed in Los Angeles during the 1960s by twin brothers Wallace and Walter Scott along with Nicholas Caldwell, Marcus Hudson, and Gordy Harmon, the group spent years building a loyal audience before achieving mainstream success. Their breakthrough eventually came with classics such as And the Beat Goes On, Rock Steady Lady, and It's a Love Thing songs that helped define the sound of late 1970s and 1980s R&B. To fans, the Whispers appeared almost unstoppable. Their smooth harmonies, elegant performances, and remarkable consistency allowed them to survive changing musical trends that ended the careers of many of their contemporaries. However, even one of soul music's most respected groups could not escape tragedy. One of the most devastating losses came in 2016 when Nicholas Caldwell, the group's songwriter, producer, and creative architect, passed away at age 71. His contributions extended far beyond singing. Caldwell played a major role in shaping the group's identity and was responsible for helping craft many of their biggest successes. His death left an enormous emotional void within the organization. The heartbreak deepened in 2022 when Walter Scott, one of the founding twin brothers whose voice had been central to the Whispers for more than 5 decades, died at age 81. For longtime fans, his passing felt like the end of an era. Few groups remained together long enough for audiences to witness the loss of the very people who built their legacy from the beginning. Yet despite these tragedies, the Whispers continue to be remembered as a symbol of professionalism, brotherhood, and musical excellence. Their story is not defined solely by loss, but by perseverance. Through changing times, personal hardships, and heartbreaking farewells, they created a catalog of music that continues bringing joy to listeners around the world. Their legacy proves that true harmony can outlast even the greatest challenges. The Persuasions. The Persuasions proved that extraordinary music does not require instruments, elaborate production, or flashy stage effects. Formed in Brooklyn, New York during the 1960s, the group built its reputation entirely on vocal talent. Their rich harmonies and innovative a cappella style earned admiration from audiences and fellow musicians alike. At a time when bands relied heavily on instrumentation, the Persuasions demonstrated the power of the human voice alone. Over the decades, the group developed a loyal following through relentless touring and critically acclaimed recordings. Their influence extended across genres, inspiring gospel singers, R&B performers, and even rock musicians. While they never achieved the commercial success of some contemporary acts, they earned widespread respect throughout the industry. The tragedy of the Persuasions emerged gradually, rather than through a single catastrophic event. As years passed, the original members grew older, and the challenges of maintaining a vocal group became increasingly difficult. Health problems, changing musical tastes, and the natural effects of time slowly took their toll. The most significant loss came in 2019 when founding member Jerry Lawson passed away at age 75. Lawson had served as the heart and soul of the group for decades. His voice, leadership, and passion helped define the Persuasions' identity. For many fans, his death symbolized the closing of a remarkable chapter in music history. Although the group continued evolving over the years, the passing of its founding voices reminded audiences of the fragility of even the strongest musical bonds. Today, the Persuasions are remembered as pioneers who proved that pure vocal artistry could captivate listeners without relying on trends or technology. Their story is one of dedication, endurance, and a legacy that continues inspiring singers around the world. The Fat Boys. The Fat Boys were unlike anything the music industry had ever seen. Emerging from New York City during the early years of hip-hop, the trio of Darren "Buff Love" Robinson, Mark Prince Marky D. Morales, and Damon Cool Rocksky Wimbley combined humor, charisma, and beatboxing into a formula that captivated audiences. During the 1980s, they became one of rap's first mainstream success stories, helping introduce hip-hop culture to households that had never experienced it before. Songs such as "The Fat Boys Are Back," "Jailhouse Rap," and their popular remake of Wipeout turned the trio into international stars. Their appearances in movies, television programs, and commercials further expanded their popularity. At a time when rap music was still fighting for mainstream acceptance, the Fat Boys helped prove that hip-hop could entertain audiences of all ages. However, the group's story eventually took a heartbreaking turn. After the members pursued separate careers during the 1990s, tragedy struck when Darren Robinson died in 1995 at only 28 years old. The talented beatbox pioneer suffered a heart attack linked to health complications. His sudden death shocked fans and devastated those who had watched the trio rise from local performers to global celebrities. Years later, another painful loss occurred when Prince Marky D passed away in 2021 at age 52. His death served as another reminder of how quickly time had passed since the group's peak popularity. What once felt like a fun, carefree chapter in hip-hop history suddenly became a story marked by loss. Today, the Fat Boys remain pioneers whose contributions helped shape the future of rap music. Their tragedy lies not only in the premature deaths of key members, but also in the fact that younger generations often overlook their importance. Yet their influence continues to live on through every beatbox performance and every artist who benefited from the doors they helped open. Toné. Few groups captured the spirit of late 1980s and 1990s R&B as successfully as Toni. Toni formed in Oakland, California by brothers Dwayne Wiggins and Raphael Saadiq along with their cousin Timothy Christian Riley. The trio blended classic soul influences with contemporary production. The result was a string of memorable hits including Feels Good Anniversary, If I Had No Loot and It Never Rains in Southern California. Their music helped bridge the gap between traditional soul and modern R&B, earning both commercial success and critical respect. For much of their career, the group appeared destined for lasting greatness. Their chemistry was undeniable, and their musicianship separated them from many acts of the era. However, success also created tension. As individual ambitions grew, disagreements regarding creative direction and business decisions began affecting the group's unity. Eventually, the members chose separate paths. Rafal Sadiq launched a highly successful solo career and later became one of the most respected producers in modern music. While all three members remained accomplished musicians, fans were disappointed to see a group with so much potential come apart during its prime years. The most heartbreaking chapter arrived in 2025 when founding member Dwayne Wiggins passed away at age 64 after battling cancer. Wiggins had been instrumental in shaping the group's sound and mentoring younger artists throughout his career. His death deeply affected fans who had followed Toni since the beginning. Although the group reunited periodically in later years, the loss of Wiggins transformed those reunions into celebrations of legacy rather than opportunities for a true long-term comeback. Their story illustrates how even successful family groups can struggle with internal pressures, changing priorities, and the inevitable passage of time. Today, Toné are remembered as innovators who helped define an era of R&B. Their music remains timeless, while their story serves as a reminder that even the most talented groups can experience endings far different from what fans once imagined. Rufus featuring Rufus was one of the most successful funk and soul bands of the 1970s. Yet their journey ended with a quiet tragedy that few fans fully understood. Formed in Chicago in the late 1960s, the group spent years performing in clubs and small venues before finally earning national attention. Their unique blend of funk, soul, R&B, and rock helped them stand apart from countless competitors during one of music's most competitive eras. Everything changed in 1974 when Rufus released Tell Me Something Good. The song became a massive hit, won a Grammy Award, and launched the group into superstardom. Over the next decade, Rufus enjoyed extraordinary success with albums such as Rags to Rufus, Rufusized, and Ask Rufus. Their catalog produced memorable classics including You Got the Love Sweet Thing, Once You Get Started, and Everlasting Love. By the late 1970s, Rufus had become one of the most respected bands in black music, selling millions of records and attracting huge audiences around the world. But behind the success, challenges were quietly growing. Like many legendary groups, Rufus struggled with internal pressures, creative differences, and the demanding realities of the music industry. As the years passed, maintaining the chemistry that had fueled their rise became increasingly difficult. At the same time, musical trends were changing rapidly. The emergence of new styles and shifting audience tastes created obstacles that many funk bands found difficult to overcome. In 1983, Rufus released Ain't Nobody, a song that would become one of the most celebrated recordings of their career. Ironically, it also marked the final great chapter of the group's story. Despite its enormous success, the momentum could not stop the band's gradual decline. Shortly afterward, Rufus effectively came to an end, closing the book on one of the most influential funk acts of its generation. Today, Rufus remains a symbol of musical excellence. Their ending may have been bittersweet, but their legacy continues through timeless recordings that still inspire listeners decades later. Their story reminds us that even the greatest bands cannot escape change, but truly great music never fades away. The Dazz Band. The Dazz Band's story is a powerful reminder that success in the music industry can be both exhilarating and painfully temporary. Formed in Cleveland, Ohio during the late 1970s, the group blended funk, R&B, jazz, and dance music into a sound that quickly set them apart from their competitors. Their name itself was a combination of the words dance and jazz, perfectly reflecting the energetic style that would eventually make them famous. After years of performing and refining their craft, the Dazz Band finally achieved their breakthrough in the early 1980s. Their biggest hit, Let It Whip, became a nationwide sensation in 1982, reaching the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning the group a Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group. Suddenly, the Dazz Band was everywhere. Songs such as Joystick on the One for Fun and Swoop I'm Yours kept them on radio stations and dance floors across America. For a moment, it seemed as though the group had secured a permanent place among the giants of funk music. However, the music industry was changing rapidly. By the mid to late 1980s, electronic production, hip-hop, and new forms of pop music began dominating the charts. Many classic funk bands found themselves struggling to compete in a marketplace that no longer favored their sound. Unlike some groups whose stories ended in dramatic scandals or shocking disasters, the Dazz band experienced a slower and more emotional decline. Record sales decreased, radio airplay became harder to secure, and mainstream attention gradually shifted elsewhere. The musicians who once performed before packed crowds found themselves fighting to remain relevant in a changing industry. The tragedy of the Dazz band lies in how quickly fame can fade. Despite their undeniable talent and Grammy-winning success, they became one of many outstanding groups overshadowed by evolving musical trends. Yet their legacy survives. Let It Whip remains one of the defining funk records of the 1980s and continues to be played decades after its release. Today, the Dazz band is remembered not as a forgotten act, but as a symbol of an era when live musicianship, infectious grooves, and genuine creativity ruled the dance floor. Their story proves that even when the spotlight moves on, great music never truly disappears. The stories of these legendary groups remind us that behind every hit song and standing ovation were real people facing loss, heartbreak, and challenges most fans never saw. From devastating deaths and internal struggles to careers cut short by circumstances beyond their control, these bands left behind more than music. They left behind powerful legacies. Yet despite the tragedies, their songs continue to inspire generations around the world. Now we want to hear from you. Which group's ending shocked you the most, and which band do you believe deserved a better fate? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Remembered Lives channel for more unforgettable stories from music history.